Warrior Cat's lore has a lot of intricacies to say the least, and sometimes characters or ideas that were relevant at one point in time are put aside in favor of taking the story in other directions, and in the current books they are all but forgotten. So for this video, I wanted to list out 10 instances of forgotten plot points in Warrior Cats from the least interesting to the most interesting. Special thanks to my cat artist Echo for brainstorming ideas for this video with me. Let's get into it. Number 10. Forgotten Villains, Soul and Sleekwhisker. I'm going to start off the list with the shortest, least remarkable plot point, that being that there are a couple of lost villains in Warrior Cats, that meaning that they were never killed off. Both Soul and Sleekwhisker were cats who retreated upon being defeated. Soul has been missing since the Forgotten Warrior, and Sleekwhisker since River of Fire. Neither cat was finished off, and Soul even promised to have his revenge. So it leaves a return for either cat wide open, but as minor villains, their return isn't guaranteed, so for now they just remain forgotten characters. Personally, I think they're both very cool, so I hope to see them come back one day. Number 9. Millie. So Millie has 2 dropped plot points, so I'll group them together to make number 9 be the quirks of Millie's character. Let's start off with the funny one, Millie knowing how to speak the language of dogs. She uses it in one of the graphic novel books, Warrior's Refuge, to save Greystripe, and she later shares her knowledge with some of the barn cats, but this talent of hers is never brought up again. The writers of the main series books are different from the graphic novels, so it's not too surprising this was forgotten, but it is a little disappointing. And another Millie plot point that was forgotten was the fact that she was vaccinated against green cough. She mentions in the site that Two Legs gave her medicine that prevents her from getting sick, to explain why she can't catch green cough. But then a couple books later, in Long Shadows, she catches green cough anyways. This could be explained away by saying that the vaccine wore off because, like the flu, green cough would mutate every year. But the book doesn't show Millie being surprised she got sick or referencing her past experience with two-leg medicine at all. So it's more likely that the writers just forgot about that plot point. Number 8. Queen's not disclosing the father. In the third Warrior Cats book, Forest of Secrets, a concept is introduced that is part of clan culture that a mother can choose whether or not to disclose who the father of the kits is. This is established so it can make sense that she was able to get away with hiding that Oakhart was the father of her kits, and that Silverstream could have done the same had things gone better for her. And this concept makes sense from a moral standpoint too. If there was trauma in her past relationship, a mother shouldn't be required to put that on display. Or if she had broken the code, she can still raise them as normal kits. However, in the modern books, this rule just ends up being forgotten. The father is always made 100% clear in every instance of there being new kits in one of the focus clans for the book. The only other notable time a mother hides the father would be Featherstorm in Yellowfang's Secret, but she is portrayed as only hiding it because Hal was a kitty pet. And based on the reactions of the Shadow Clan cats, it seems hiding the father is not normal or accepted, which is kind of a shame because for all they sacrifice, the she-cats definitely deserve more privacy. Number 7. Dark Forest Cats Walk Alone. When the Dark Forest perspective was shown in Sunset, we see Darkstripe meeting up with Tigerstar. Darkstripe asks to travel with Tigerstar, but Tigerstar insists that Dark Forest Cats must walk the path of shadows alone. However, over time, this interpretation of the Dark Forest is just completely tossed out. As early as Power of 3, Tigerstar contradicts his own words by walking with Hawkfrost, and with the Dark Forest plot in Omen of the Stars, those cats are doing the exact opposite of walking alone. And you can't even say the Dark Forest just changed in this time period, because in prequels such as Crooked Star's Promise and Spotted Leaf's Heart, we see additional instances of Dark Forest cats meeting up. The isolation of the Dark Forest cats was just something that was completely retconned, making it a forgotten plot point. Number 6. Leafpool Squirrel Flight Telepathy. Now this one isn't the most deep or strange plot point, but it's super weird how quickly it got abandoned. In the first New Prophecy books, a telepathic connection between Squirrelpaw and Leafpaw is discovered and developed, and Leafpaw uses it to make sure that Squirrelpaw is well on her quest. A little twin telepathy going on. But after the quest is over, it just stops being relevant to the plot, and it is never used or mentioned in the arcs that follow. I guess the authors just simply didn't have any ideas on how to use it, so they just put it aside. But I mean, how cool would it be if they kept it around? It could deepen the established empathy between the two sisters and Squirrelflight's hope, or maybe Squirrelflight could use her connection with Leafpool to know that StarClan is trapped in the broken code. But nope, we never hear of it again. Number 5. Ashfur x Leafpool. I didn't even remember this one happened until Daco told me about it. This one could very well be a throwaway line, but oh boy is it interesting. Towards the end of Long Shadows when Ashfur dies, Jayfeather notices that feelings of sorrow surge out of Leafpool in waves, like a mother grieving for her kit. And Jayfeather wonders whether Leafpool was possibly in love with Ashfur. So a whole subplot about Jayfeather believing those two were an item was completely abandoned. It's super confusing why this paragraph is even included. It can't be Leafpool finding out that Hollyleaf is the murderer because it was a page before she even knew it was a murderer. So the only other possibility was that maybe they were going to have Ashfur be tossed around as a red herring and the father of the three mystery. But yeah, that never happened. It will forever be a random thought by Jayfeather that was never elaborated on. Number 4. Spires Power. I feel like the books did Spire's sight really dirty. Tigerheart's shadow introduced Spire as this super mysterious cat, a healer who would often say things that didn't make sense. He would sometimes appear to be muttering to spirit cats, he has prophetic dreams, he says Shadowkit will see in the shadows, and he even has this weird moment when he talks about birth and death as darkness. It's so strange. But then he just dies and becomes a generic StarClan cat with a warrior name and everything. I really thought they were going somewhere with him. I even made a theory about how he was evil and pulling the strings behind the Ashfur plot. But nope, he's just a random ghost cat now. So disappointing. There's so much about his story we never knew, and it seems things are going to stay that way. Number 3. Forgotten Cats Fade Away. In Omen of the Stars, it is revealed that when a spirit cat is no longer remembered by any of the living cats, they fade into nothing, supposedly earning their peace. I feel like this concept was just thrown in preparation for the Dawn of the Clans prequels, so there is an explanation for why these cats introduced that died long ago don't appear in StarClan like the modern ancestors do. But then, the Dawn of the Clan cats just appear in the modern books anyway. You can argue the original leaders such as Skystar appear because he was SkyClan's namesake and he is remembered through the clan's name. Mothflight was the first medicine cat, so maybe the fact that the medicine cat role still exists means that she can be remembered. But then, why don't all the Code of the Clan cats still show up in StarClan? They have a legacy. And why the heck is Micah still remembered? He has zero connection to any of the living cats' memories, yet he is still completely able to appear to Pebbleshine. The cats fading when they die twice, like Tigerstar or Spotted Leaf holds up, but the cats fading when they are forgotten plot point is so inconsistent that it's as good as forgotten at this point. Number 2. Cat Reincarnation. The case of Cinderheart will always be just one of the dumbest plot points ever. Cats are constantly being killed in these books in freak accidents or at young ages, but for some reason only one of these cats is given the chance of a second life, Cinderpelt, and it's not even a full second life, as we later learn that she only shared the body before eventually separating and passing on to StarClan. It's just a really weird thing to only happen one time, considering the circumstances that led to it. A cat deserving a second chance at life has happened tens if not hundreds of times in the books. I guess it makes sense that the plot point was dropped, as it was rather poorly thought out. The only other instance we have of cat reincarnation isn't from a second chance story. It's the whole Jay's Wing, Dove's Wing, Lion's Roar to Jayfeather, Dove Wing, Lion Blaze plot. It almost gives an explanation for why they have powers, but then it doesn't. And currently that's also forgotten. None of those cats even bother mentioning that they are ancient spirits brought back from the dead, even though that is super crazy. Oh yeah, and speaking of ancient spirits, the number 1 spot on this list is dedicated to the Ancients. Number 1, the Ancients. Rock the Cat, Midnight the Badger, and those original lake cats. What do all these have in common? We haven't heard about them in years. It seems the Warrior Cats writing team must really want to distance themselves from any plotline involving the Ancients, because since A Vision of Shadows started, any being from before the time of Dawn of the Clans might as well just not exist. And it's kind of annoying because we never fully understood the stories of Rock or Midnight. We don't know how either creature was born, whether or not their spirits are still out there, if they ever had a purpose beyond delivering prophecies and vague messages, or sitting in a cave. And the ancient cats were also just tossed out. And I mean, the time travel stuff was kinda dumb, but that's no excuse to forget them. It's just that nothing in lore is more foundational, more intriguing than the origin story. But that's something we're still waiting on Warrior Cats to flesh out. Even the farthest back in time Warrior Cats has gotten still hasn't given insight on the origins of Spirit Cats or what Rock or Midnight Steel even is. So that's what I find to be the most significant forgotten plot point in all of Warrior Cats. Give us some more ancient spirit content, please. Alright, bye everyone.